I know a lot of vets struggle with bringing work home and stressing out about pets, and it is a struggle. I think that just the type of personality type that kind of goes into this career, we're super empathetic. We care about our pets, even sometimes we care more than our clients. But I have learned along the way that it is very important for me to leave work at work. And so boundaries have always been a part of me being able to practice and protect my mental health.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Housecall Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge housecall veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by housecall and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode. Hey, I am so excited. Today we have with us the marvelous Dr. Marcy McKeithen. She is a veterinarian practicing in Detroit, Michigan. She is the founder and owner of Motor City Vet Care, which is a veterinary house call practice that provides quality veterinary care to your furry family members in the privacy and safety of your own home. She takes pride in committing her life to not only animals, but she is devoted to preserving the human-animal bond by caring for the best interests of her clients. She has practiced in 5 states and in Europe, in Spain, but she was not content until she could get back to the roots and care for the people of Detroit as well, who will always be her first priority. I love that. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated, where she helps serve the members of her community in a myriad of ways. I'm so excited to have you here. You're just one of the best people in the universe that I know. So welcome and congratulations on everything you've achieved.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. You are an inspiration, and I don't know that I'd be here without you. So thank you.
Thank you. So, my dear, first of all, I wanted to start out how I always start out and ask you, are there any favorite snacks that you have while you're in the car going to your house calls? Anything you like to munch on?
So I'm on like this super big health journey, and I eat salads and all the good stuff at home. But my car is like Vegas, so the calories don't count. What is eaten in the car does not go towards anything. So I will not disclose what I eat in the car because that's between me and my car. I'm on a health journey. I drink water and smoothies. But what I consume in the car, and plus that's the only time I'm not with my kids. So all of the stuff I don't want to share, I have to eat in the car. So that is between me and the car.
That's amazing. I was not expecting that answer, and that's freaking hilarious. What happens in your car stays in your car. I relate to that on a number of levels. Oh, yay. Okay. You get credit for your health journey, and the car thing is like, its own thing. I hear that. Thank you for sharing that with me. So I wanted to kind of next journey into how you decided to become a house call vet. Where did you start that journey and what made you decide that's where you wanted to go?
So it's all kind of been something I considered doing. And I always considered it in the terms of having like a big truck and going around. And, I thought that I would have like a rig, like a little boy. I just thought that that's something that I wanted to do, but I never thought it would be possible. I never thought I'd be able to afford the truck. And I always operated in the security of working for a brick and mortar. I had insurance, but it's always something I had wanted to do. So after practicing for about 8 or 9 years and realizing that I didn't know what my next step was as far as, the upward mobility working in a brick and mortar, I didn't want to own a brick and mortar. And I worked for some corporate practices and I realized I didn't want to climb the corporate ladder. So I just kind of realized that this is the time to kind of do that. And that was to start my house call I'm talking about. So, and that really started coming into fruition around 2019. Now, in hindsight, I think that it really got re-sparked when I had my heart cat. Now, she ended up having hyperthyroidism and she was not well regulated because she was a beast at the vet clinic, a beast, like a tiger. So, I just was worried that she would like stress herself out to no return going to the vet. So I wasn't able to really regulate her illness very well. And in hindsight, and I don't know how far hindsight this is, or if this was really truly my catalyst, but I just like, if I had somebody that could come do her blood work at home, just so I can see what kind of dose I needed to adjust her to, that kind of thing. I think that I probably would have had her with me longer. So between her and just kind of always wanting to be a mobile vet. And the funny story is at University of Florida, when I graduated, we did this video and everybody said what they wanted to be. And I forgot what I wanted. I had signed up for an internship. I didn't know what I said that video. I just was glad I passed my boards. So I don't even feel like I kind of blacked out after I passed my boards and I got my internship. But my friends often remind me, like, remember in this video, you said you want to be a mobile vet. And if somebody found a clip of me saying I want to be a mobile vet. So it's crazy that it's coming to fruition 11 years later. So I completely forgot about that. So between just kind of having an inkling and just not really seeing upward mobility in my current career path, and then with my heart cat, it just was time.
Wow, that's really moving to know that that has been kind of at the core of your vision, even kind of, it sounds like it was conscious at some point and then it moved into subconscious and it's resurfaced since then. And that reminds me, there were times I wasn't one of those kids that wanted to be a vet when they grew up, to my knowledge, but I had a couple friends who said to me, you said, I remember that you said you wanted to be a vet. And so it was like, what? I did? So this like seed of it was there all along. And it sounds so resonant of that. That's so cool. It only took a decade, but you're doing what you were meant to do.
Yeah, and everything I did to prepare was what I needed to do. So I don't think, I'm glad I'm doing it now. And yes, right. So I wasn't one of those that wanted to be a vet when I grew up either. But my friends are like, yeah, you did. I'm like, no, I didn't. But I'm in Detroit, so we are raised to be engineers. We are raised to work for the big three. Like everything I did extracurricular was engineering. So
really?
And that was kind of force fed down my throat, and the only other option I knew with my grades, I'm like, well, I could be a medical doctor, but I didn't want to do that. And I was not allowed to have pets. I did not have a pet at all. My heart cat was my first pet. My mom did not let me have anything. So, but all the rest of my family had dogs and cats and both and everything. So I knew I had the love for pets in me from my family, but I wasn't allowed to have pets and I was forced to be an engineer. Now look at me.
Look at you now. You were forced to be an engineer. That's so funny. I didn't realize that about Detroit. That's really, really interesting. And I relate to you because I grew up in New York City in a small apartment, and I also was not allowed to have pets other than like hamsters, salamanders that I caught. Shame on me. But oh well, childhood things and, little creatures. But I always had a love of animals too. So I It's so interesting that, your path is so similar to mine, just
Right.
relating, on a human level. But it's really, really interesting. And that's so cool that your love for animals shine through, even though you didn't have a chance to have your own. And I think sometimes my heart cat, Marigold, I got her just shortly before vet school, honestly. I was already on the path, but it was a whole other level when you finally have your own first heart cat or heart dog or whatever, and it's late in life. It's like it means something different. Not
Right.
better or worse, it's just a little different.
Very different. I agree.
That's so awesome. And I also agree that everything that you've done over the past 10 years or more has led you to where you are. All of it was necessary. I feel the same way about my path too, even though there were delays in my path as well. I wish I had done this sooner, but it wouldn't have worked if I had done it any other time in my life. And so as far as that, what were some of the fears that you kind of overcame? Is there anything that held you back that you were aware of before kind of getting started in your own business and really taking the jump?
So lots of fears. I think the biggest eye opener for me was when I realized that I did not have to have an assistant to start. When I saw how many house call vets are out here doing it by themselves, that really opened my eyes because I, in brick and mortar and working in emergency, have leaned heavily on technicians and veterinary assistants for most of my career. So it wasn't even a thought to me to have a practice without a technician. And I didn't really want to employ somebody because I knew, like, how do you just start up but also have to be responsible for paying for someone else? So that was a huge hurdle for me. But when I found that so many house call vets start out with no technician and some of them never get a technician or assistant, that was really like, oh, and that was huge. But of course, the fears for kind of anything is I'm a mom, so balancing life and family, and then also being by myself. Like, can I do solo blood draws? Can I do some of those things that I heavily relied on my technicians to do? Those kind of things. So just being by myself was an eye opener, but just the other fears of making it, will my income be enough for me to sustain my family? Because I'm the breadwinner. I have two small children. And the whole motherhood situation makes every and anything scary. Yeah, so lots of fears, but nothing that is paralyzing, mentally paralyzing, but nothing that's impossible.
Right. And those are some fears that you're so not alone in those fears. I hear that all the time. Some of those same things like, how do I work solo? How do I employ a tech if I don't even have a business yet? How can I guarantee their well-being? And that's completely legitimate. And then adding the parenting and the mother, your role as not only a mother but the breadwinner of the family, that's a lot of weight and responsibility. And so, I mean, those are all the right questions and all the right concerns and all of the right things that you do need to lean into in order to do this in a way that's sustainable and that's profitable, and you have to address those things. And so all of my props to you for asking all of the right questions and for thinking all of the right things. And so you recently launched your practice, and I'm just so incredibly beyond proud of you. Like every single thing you do, I'm just like, oh my God, Marcy's such a freaking rock star. I love it. So can you tell me a little bit about how you overcame some of these fears to the point where you now have a full-on business of your own? How did you do that?
Once I realized that if I start and it doesn't work out, I can always get another job. Like everybody's hiring. So nothing was going to be permanent. So it's just a matter of trying it. And you don't know what you don't know until you start, and you just got to start. So that was just not being scared and realizing that it's not permanent. And I can always go back, or I can always do relief, or I could always, it's such a blessing in this field that the unemployment rate is zero. It may not be the ideal job, but if you need a few coins, you can find them somewhere. So I guess the financial security of just being in a profession and knowing that I could pick up a relief shift if I need to helped. And then just understanding that I have to build my schedule around my kids, and my kids are always going to be my priority, and my husband, and making sure we're communicating about our schedules. So those fears are kind of turned into just kind of the outline for how I need to build my business, because the fears won't go away. I just have to operate around them.
Exactly. I love that. I remember speaking with you almost a year ago, and you said the employment rate for vets is zero. And I remember being like, yeah, that's why there's almost no risk in becoming a house call veterinarian, because there will always be employment. It may not be the best employment, but there will always be employment. And with the house call modality, we're not investing thousands and thousands of dollars into a brick and mortar. We don't have to take out loans. People think you do. People think you have to start out with a whole staff, but just like you said, and how I teach my House Call Vet Academy participants, you start out with what you have. And you can do that. And there's almost no risk. There's almost no risk, because if you don't like it, we're so lucky in our profession that we're in such high demand. And you said it so nicely. Like, I remember in that conversation about a year ago, I was like, Marcy, that is it. That's it. That's why this is, something that most of us can jump into and kind of alleviate our fears a little bit. There will be work. I do recommend for people to, not go straight into a new business without any backup. So keeping your relief work, keeping a part-time job until you are self-sustaining and able to fully support yourself, and sure that this is the path you want. So I love all of that you said, and I'm so aligned with your thoughts there. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to remind everyone that we have the House Call and Mobile Vet Virtual Conference coming up really soon. It is going to be February 19th and 20th, 2022. I encourage you guys to all go check it out. The link to sign up is in the show notes. There is right now a 15% discount for vet techs, and that is your discount code 15VetTech2022. If you go to my website, you'll also see it there. I'm super excited for this. It is really happening. I cannot wait to meet you guys. In this conference, you're going to meet your house call vet colleagues from all over the world. You'll get to see them face to face and connect with your people in real time. You'll get actionable tips and tricks, inspiration. You will get to expand your mobile practice and share your experiences and connect with other people, kind of like we do in this podcast. You can also expect to hear a little bit of information on how to start a house call practice, how to protect your physical and emotional safety as a mobile vet or a vet tech. You're going to get some yoga taught by a veterinarian who is a yoga teacher geared specifically for veterinarians. It's not required, but if you're interested in that, it's going to be there for you. I'm going to be talking about concierge service. We'll be talking about IHE, palliative, all sorts of stuff. I really cannot wait to see you. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank from the bottom of my heart our amazing sponsors for this conference, who are also, some of them, just getting started with sponsorship for this podcast as well. So I wanted to thank Rockin' Pets, Rollin' Vets, Ask Jan for Help, Epicure Pharma, Dr. Busby's, the senior dog. You probably know Dr. Busby's toe grips. The Calm Cozy Cat Wrap, Laserific, Heal House Call Veterinarian, The Pocket Pathologist, and The Whole Veterinarian. So thank all of you guys so much for everything you've done to contribute to not only the development of the conference, but to this podcast. I cannot wait to see you guys there. And don't forget to get your tickets before February 14th. That is the last day to sign up for our conference, which will be February 19th and 20th. See you guys there. I remember recently, well, not so recently anymore, actually, you launched your practice. And I believe after your first house call visit, you said something along the lines of this: my first house call was today, and I'm literally just getting in the car. It was great. My business is needed and people will pay. I get to see the real pet at home, and it's like falling in love with the career all over again. I'm super happy. So thank you for sharing that. It gives me tingles to see you succeeding like that and to see you happy and falling in love with the career again. That is magic right there. Can you tell me a little bit about what helped you get to that feeling? Can you tell me a little bit about that moment and what you were feeling just then when
Yeah,
you
so
shared that?
I prior to me starting my house call practice, I worked for corporate. So sometimes you just get so caught up with the amount of pets that you have to see. And especially now being curbside, you don't get that interaction with the client, which I love. I love educating clients. And so that was just a part that I had been missing for so long. And I didn't even really realize how much I missed it because I've been working for corporate for so long, and then the pandemic just kind of shifted into this kind of survival mode. And so you just really became callous to so many things because you just really had to survive. You had to survive the day, survive the pets, survive COVID. So I didn't dislike the career, but it just was like, I didn't have those moments of, oh, I love this. I just hadn't had one of those in a very, very long time. So when I was able to provide a service for a client that needed it, she was so grateful that I was able to come to her home. I mean, imagine if I could have all services come to my home for everything, I would. So I just can imagine how convenient that is for my client because she has a small child that's in virtual school. So, it was just so needed for her. And then I got to see the pet in its own domain. Sometimes curbside in brick and mortar, the pet is sometimes better without the client, but sometimes they aren't. And, they're there all day. I just know that their moms are just like in the park. Sometimes people will wait in the parking lot for hours to get their pets back because they just don't even want to leave them. I can imagine dropping my kid off to the pediatrician and just getting a call like that's devastating. So just to be able to be there, answer questions, you can show me exactly where the lump is, and I can explain to you why I'm doing what I'm doing, which I haven't gotten to do for a while because even when we were not curbside, I just didn't get to kind of, I love the term you use, luxuriate. Luxuriate. I didn't get to luxuriate in my appointments and talk about every little thing from the tip of the nose to the end of the tail. You just don't get time to do that. And so I just got to go in and say all the negative stuff, and that's it. It just was nice to be able to go through a full exam and just reinforce the importance of an exam because a lot of people just want the shots. And so, just kind of reintroducing the importance of having an exam and why I am a doctor. I do exams. I'm not just licensed to do shots. I do very important things. So it just was nice to be able to explain that to them. And the dog was comfortable getting treats. And it just was a great experience. My square didn't work that day. I don't think my hotspot worked. I don't think anything else technology worked that day, but it was still a great experience. So that was just like so refreshing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that because I feel the same way. It's sort of like luxuriate. That's what it feels like. We can luxuriate finally and really be our true selves as a doctor. We can really just like it's all the bad all the bad stuff. 15 minutes, bye. Like
dog is fat, bad teeth, gotta go. 100 times a day.
I know. And it's tiring and it doesn't feel that good, does it? For us or the client or the pet, right? Dog's fat. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I so relate to that. And I think it's such a luxury for both us and the client and the pet. And, I just like, as we're getting the word out about mobile and house call practice, anyone who finds out about it is like, how did I not know about this? It's so worth the investment. How much can I pay you?
It's almost like it's like a cheat code. It's like when you find something that it's almost too good to be true. Sometimes for me being a house call vet and then for clients. And it's like, well, when's the second shoe going to drop? What are the cons of this? Like, I don't like it's crazy because it's like I can't imagine doing anything else or why anybody would want anything else. So
I so agree. And so a little bit more about your demographic. You've mentioned to me before that you're working in a really challenging demographic and you're doing a lot of client education, why an exam is needed, what a vet can do. Can you tell me a little bit more about your demographic, what the challenges are and how it's going?
So it's a big learning curve here for the medical aspect of having a pet. So people get pets for different reasons, right? Some of them emotional support. Some people get them to guard the house. Some people just don't know why they have them. They just grew up with a dog, so they're going to get a dog. It's just a part of having a house. So just the learning curve of teaching what it is to maintain that pet. And the argument always is, Uncle Joe had the dog out at the tree and he lived to 13. So I'm battling the hybrid vigor dogs that have lesser medical issues and may have had very long lives because they have seen that. A lot of people think that if they buy a $1,400 Scooby Dooby Doodle Doodle is going to live the same amount of time or not need the medical care that Uncle Joe's dog did. So it's just a matter of teaching the priority and the importance of preventive care and actually just getting more than the shots. Because I do have a lot of pet stores that are doing the shots, not just those pop-up clinics where you're traveling vet. I'm talking pet store associates doing the shots. So when you can get that for $15, proving to you why I'm worth what I'm worth is a bit of a learning curve. So that's why it's important for me to not just get the word out about my business. I have to also explain what I'm doing and explain the value of what I'm doing.
Love that. And I love how you're doing it. You've been on the news a few times. You got another news gig coming up. I'm just so proud of you in so many ways. And I think getting on the news, what a great idea to really kind of educate the community at large what a vet does and why it's needed and why it's an investment that might be worth more than $15. So yeah, for the shot. Yeah. As they say, we're not just like shot jockeys. Like obviously we have so much more to give.
Yeah.
So I love that. Something else that's really interesting and admirable about you that I've always felt is you're really good at remembering that your family comes first. I know a lot of us feel that way, but sometimes like our careers can somehow eat us alive and we forget what's important. Even if we know what's important, we can't uphold it and we get torn in so many ways. And I think you do a really good job with that. I remember you telling me a while back that everything you do is for your family and to be a good mother. And it was really moving to me. I know a lot of people feel that way, but I see it in action for you. And I really admire that. I think it's a beautiful thing. Can you talk to me about your top 3 tips on how you prioritize your family as a new business owner?
Yeah, I know a lot of vets struggle with bringing work home and stressing out about pets. And it is a struggle. I think that just the type of personality type that kind of goes into this career, we're super empathetic. We care about our pets, even sometimes we care more than our clients. But I have learned along the way that it is very important for me to leave work at work. And so boundaries have always been a part of me being able to practice and protect my mental health. And so before I met Eve, who is the boundary queen, and she has helped me a lot with business boundaries. But for me, I've always had to protect my peace because I have to be able to function at home. I can't worry about if my spay is going to bleed out. And I think that every single last one of them is going to bleed out. Every last one. Or like, did I tie off the ureter? Every time. But it is important for me to realize that worrying about things is not going to change them. And it takes away from me at home. So I have to protect my house first and be present as a wife and as a mother. So boundaries and also just giving myself grace, the grace to rest, the grace to put my phone on do not disturb, the grace to just say, I can't care more than a client. I can only go as far as the client will let me. And I just have to be okay with that. And that's just that. And I have to give clients grace to know that they are doing the best that they can. And even though our ethics or whatever our treatment plan may not agree, they're doing what they think is best. And I just have to let them rest in that. And I just have to give myself grace to let them do and think whatever they're going to think. So just lots of grace. And I have to say that no is a full sentence because I'm really great at overcommitting to things. Can I do this? Sure. Let me do this. Sure. So I have to really reel it in and not overcommit. And that means to appointments. That means as a new startup, of course, you want all the appointments. You'll take anything. And so that's really not the kind of business I want to form. And I think it's important as a startup to start the way you want to finish. So I don't overcommit and I don't do things that I don't want to maintain. And no has to be a complete sentence. I don't have to justify anything to anybody. So no.
No, beautiful. Just no.
No.
No, I found a song on, I guess it's not that maybe it is sort of famous. It's a Meghan Trainor song. I was putting together the playlist for the House Call and Mobile Vet virtual conference, which is coming February 19th and 20th. Get your tickets, everyone.
Schedules, everyone.
Block off your schedules. That's right.
Last night.
Yay! So I was making the playlist and I was like, what are like boundary songs? What are house call vet songs? What are home songs? We got Sweet Home Alabama. We have, oh, you'll see. But there's a Meghan Trainor song I didn't realize called No. And I was like, bam, that's going on the list.
No. And if it's a hard situation, I'll say probably not, but it's still no.
But still no. Exactly. Beautiful. I love all of what you said. I agree with all of it. Or our second to last question. Do you have any advice for anyone that's just getting started in their house call practice, or maybe they're 3 to 6 months in, like kind of like where you are? Is there anything that you could recommend to them? Any tips, anything like that you'd like to share? Any encouragement?
I think that the type of personality that goes into vet med in general, we tend to be very much planners. And I know that I had analysis paralysis. So the House Call Vet Academy has been the biggest blessing to me and my business. But in the same turn, because I had so much information, I almost let it slow me down because I wanted to have all my T's crossed, all my I's dotted. So although the information is there and there are lots of things that you should have in place before you start, just start, because you're not going to know what you don't know until you start. And what you think you know, you probably don't know until you start. And to make systems that work for you and your neurodivergence, whatever works, because I operate very differently. You know, you can read somebody else's business plan and we can talk and whatever all you want, but I have to make systems that are sustainable for me and my special brain here so that it's sustainable for me. So you just have to start, and it's scary. And I poured into my business for months before I started. And then I almost was like, what am I even doing? But when I started seeing appointments, it just made it all worthwhile. So if you are in the planning stage, just start, make an appointment, just make one and just start and just figure it out from there, because it feels so much better once you actually get your systems of operation in action. And it makes it all worthwhile. So you just got to start and just figure it out as you go. And it's scary. And we typically don't like to fly by the seat of our pants but we do though, because we fly by the seat of our pants every day at work. We don't know what's coming in. You know, we don't know what's going to work. So, but the things that we can control, we like to control. And there are lots of things that we cannot control. And there are lots of things that we don't even know about ourselves. So entrepreneurship is definitely something that stretched me out of my comfort zone, but I wouldn't have even known what I needed help with if I didn't start. So I'm grateful for the House Call Vet Academy. I don't even know where I would be without it. It has been the backbone of my business, but also I just had to put on my big girl stuff and just get out there.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And I just want to let you guys know, I don't know if you even know this, Marcy, but you were my very first participant in the House Call Vet Academy. You're number one. It's been such a pleasure just watching you grow and go through things. And although I've supported you from the back end of your business, you've done all this work yourself. It's been your vision, your branding, your boundaries and policies. I encourage you to develop those and to, stand by them. But that's all you, and it's your style of doctoring. You're, giving your patients what they need from your own heart and soul. And there's literally nothing that could make me prouder. You're just like such a gem of a person. And so congratulations on everything you've achieved. Your advice is stellar. I agree with all of that. And I'm just, congratulations to everything you've achieved. And I'm so excited for all of your patients and your clients. They're all going to be so lucky to have you. And so I wanted to, in summary, since we are in the House Call Vet Cafe podcast, I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite tea or coffee or any beverage to drink? If it's something that happens in your vehicle and it is top secret, I understand.
So, in my older age now, I realize that I do need caffeine. I'm a morning person, so I'm not grumpy, but caffeine helps, but I don't like coffee. So I drink not a lot, but in the morning I drink Dr. Pepper. That's my kind of drink of choice. But one thing about me is I will try a Mountain Dew flavor. Like any new Mountain Dew flavor, I have had it. I have had every single Mountain Dew flavor that there is to man. I have a raspberry lemonade right there in that kitchen that I'm gonna have in 5 minutes. So I am a Mountain Dew connoisseur, I would say.
Wow. I did not even know there were other Mountain Dew flavors. So there's the raspberry one. What else is there?
Oh my, there is a whole world of Mountain Dew. A whole world. I haven't drank a regular Cold Red or orange live wire in years. So the one I have now is raspberry lemonade. They have a ginger snap one out for Christmas. They had like an apple crispy one for autumn. They had a really good pina colada one this summer. I love trying Mountain Dew.
Oh my God. You've said too much. I'm afraid now I'm gonna like go get that ginger Jesus. Oh my God.
It's bad.
I'm not a carbonated beverage drinker, but I think you might have just changed something in my little brain here.
Mountain Dew, man. Yeah, I know it's bad. It's terrible. Don't tell anybody, but
oh no, I won't tell anyone except for everyone that's listening to the podcast, but no one else. I won't tell anyone else. All right, Marcy, you are thebomb.com. I adore you. Thank you for all you do for animals and humans. You know, we've never met in person, but it's always been so easy for me to see that you're this amazing person. You're an incredible advocate for animals and for your community and people. You're such a compassionate doctor. And, you know, I'm just super excited to have you alongside me, paving the way as one of the house call veterinarians joining this movement and doing it in such a compassionate and thoughtful way, and with grace and with boundaries and with love. It's been my absolute joy watching you grow and build your business on your terms and succeeding. I love it. So thank you so much, Marcy, for speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me. You're a gem. Thank you. And
so are you. Mutual admiration club.
Right.
All right. I'll catch you later.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for house call vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.